الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على حي على الفلاح حي على الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
الحمد لله الذي هدانا إلى دين الإسلام وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله وأكمل لنا ديننا وأتم علينا نعمه فرضي لنا الإسلام دينا فلا نعبد إلا إياه ولا نستعين إلا به نشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له جل وعلا رب الأرباب ومسبب الأسباب ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا مولانا محمدا عبد الله ورسوله بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة فجزاه الله عنا وعن كل المسلمين خيرا اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد عبدك ورسولك النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا أما بعد رب يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي رب زدني علما والحقني بالصالحين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم سبحانك لا فهم لنا إلا ما فهمتنا إنك أنت الجواد الكريم. My dear respected brothers, elders and sisters in Islam, what is so significant about Islam that it requires from its followers to continue propagating the message throughout time in all ages? What is so important of Islam? This is a question that I feel we should ask ourselves, because in the absence of such questions, we tend to create our own perceptions and understandings. The propagation of Islam is an essential practice for those who are Muslim, because within Islam, not the Muslim, within Islam, there is a distinctive, excellent ingredient that will guarantee the prosperity, perfection, and preservation of humanity. Whenever we see that the state of humanity is in free fall and on the verge of collapse, it becomes ever more so evident and essential that the teachings of Islam are brought forth only for the sake of saving and protecting humanity as a whole. In reality, there is no other and there will be no other guideline aside from that which Allah, the Creator, the Master, and the Controller of all affairs, has set forth for humanity. There will be nothing else aside from His teaching that can do what Islam can do. That is how comprehensive it is. I am saying this because in light of what the world is witnessing as we speak, truth is the outcome of a decision made will speak louder than the decision itself. For we are all living in a time where hidden sentiments and concealed actions are now out in the open, pushing to justify and legitimize while simultaneously discrediting what the world thought to be the norm. In light of the rise of violations and the discrediting of the women folk, in light of the fact that we are in Domestic Violence Awareness Month, it is imperative that we all seek a solution that Islam brought to the table. It is such a sad time that we're living in, where now openly it can be declared and said that women are not credible, their words don't mean anything, and their position in society is always second. This problem is a result of a festering problem which has continued to plague our society, our nation, our world, and it begins from our homes. And it is due time that we as Muslims, bearers of Islam, present the solution, be the solution that Islam gave us the opportunity to be. According to the national statistics on domestic violence, on average, nearly 20 people per minute. I want everyone to hear me very carefully today. 20 people per minute are physically abused by their partner in the United States. 20 people per minute, which equates to more than 10 million men and women annually. On a typical day, there are more than 20,000 phone calls placed to domestic violence hotlines nationwide. Now, this isn't a problem between a man and a woman or a husband and a wife. But 1 in 15 children are exposed to intimate partner violence each year, and 90% of these children are eyewitnesses to violence being perpetrated within the four walls of their own homes. Now, we as a Muslim community can continue the same rhetoric that we always do. Oh, Imam, this is their problem. We're good. We're fine. We're Muslims. We need to stop that. As Muslims, we are not immune to the problems happening in our world. We are part and parcel of that problem. You would have expected that as time progresses, we would have learned from past mistakes made. And we would have bettered our situation. And we would have made our world a better place. But sadly, that's not so. For betterment is not possible in the absence of the teaching that reinforces that betterment. So having teachings is essential. We need to have some teachings that teach us how to be human beings. And that is exactly what the Holy Quran is. Having it is one thing. Understanding it is a second thing. But the goal from it is to live it. Amassing knowledge does not give credibility to anyone in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rather, those who apply that what they understood and that they learned into their lives will become beacons of hope and guidance at a time of turbulence and a time of disarray. So as Muslims, we have a teaching. To some extent, we understand our teaching. But the proof is that till this day, Muslims across the world are known to be those who are abusive to women. We put down our women. We transgress on the rights of women. This is what the norm is outside. That's what they see us to be as. So how can a people known to be abusive to women bring forth a solution that will change the current problem which is plaguing our world? The steps are simple. We need to learn what our religion taught us. We need to live what our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ lived by. And finally, we have to propagate through our actions to the world, which is seeking, desperately seeking, that solution. So for that, I've compiled 4 points. Number 1, Islam gave women a place in the world at a time when they had no place. Understand what your religion and my religion did in hijab, which became the starting point for women to be seen different than that which they were seen as. For we know in the area of hijab, in Makkatul Mukarramah, that if you go there today, and you go outside the haram, to the right of Malik Fahd door, between the new haram extension and the old building, you will find on the road a triangle spot of land which is still empty. If you read the writing on the wall, it's written Maqbara Wa'dul Banat. This is the place where at the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, before the message of Islam, the custom and trend was in Arabia that when a girl is born in your house, she's a curse, she's an ill omen. Kill her. Kill her. Bury her alive. And thus they used to go and bury their daughters there. Surah Nisa makes it very clear that women are equal to men in their creation. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created man and He created woman. And that both are vital in the progress of any society and they are instrumental in the success of any family. Both, not one. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, within the span of those 23 years, not only did he abolish the trend and practice of killing girls, but he propagated a message of positiveness, that he stated that whoever Allah gives 3 daughters and He raises them well, they will be a means of His paradise. A Sahabi asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if I have 2 daughters, he said, even if you have 2 daughters. He shifted the mindset of people to understanding that our women folk are important in our world, in our society. And he made it clear that such violations are an act of transgression. Number 2. In Surah number 4, verse number 34, a verse that is continuously used by Muslims to justify their practices and a verse that is used by non-Muslims to smear Islam and Muslims as a whole, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ, that men are authoritarian figures over the women. That as men we can bear down with vengeance on women folk because we have the green light from Allah to do so. What happens when we don't live the truth of the message? We open doors and opportunities for those outside to twist it and use it against us. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الرِّجَالُ قَوَّامُونَ عَلَى النِّسَاءِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying that the men, the husbands, the fathers in the family bear the ultimate responsibility and accountability of what happens in the family. For they are responsible for the family, they are not the owners of the family. You don't own your wife, you don't own your children. They belong to Allah. Allah entrusted them to you so that you can find your paradise collectively with each other. That whatever decisions are made in that home through mutual consultation, Aisha radiallahu anha and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to consult one another regarding every minute detail of the house. What will we cook today? What will we do today? And whatever decision was made, if it was good, the attribute of that good goes to both. But if it was bad and it was wrong, the menfolk, the fathers, the husband, bear the burden of the responsibility. This is called qiwam. That is why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said to a person, to a sahabi, Anta wa maluka li abik. You and your wealth belong to your father. He is responsible. He will be asked on the day of judgment. So the menfolk in a relationship are responsible for the outcome of decisions that occur, both physical and financial. Again, it is responsibility, not ownership. Number 3. But Imam, further on that verse, the Quran says, beat your wives. The Quran says, beat your wives. It's written black and white. Yes, the Quran says, but those whose wives whom you fear arrogance, advise them and persist in advising them. But if they don't stop, then forsake them in bed. And the third option is, وَضْرِبُوهُنَّ. Now, brothers and sisters, the Quran is the word of Allah. It has been demonstrated and explained and expanded upon through the actions and words and lifestyle of Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So before I jump to conclusions and say the Quran says beat your wife, I need to understand the linguistic perspective and also the seerah perspective. Linguistically, darb has 54 meanings. 54. And the Quran itself uses many of those meanings. For example, in chapter 14, verse number 24, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَمْ تَرَوْا كَيْفَ ضَرَبَ اللَّهُ مَثَلًا. Do not see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala presented an example. Allah used the same word darab, but He did not say He hit an example. He's presenting an example. ضَرَبَ لَكُمْ مَثَلًا مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sets forth a parable from within yourself. An example. In verse number 47, verse 7, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَضَرْبَ الرِّقَابِ. Then smite their necks. In war, in battle, when it's you and the enemy, smite their neck. He didn't say come and hit their neck. He said smite their neck. The word darb comes in many different meanings based on the context of which it's being presented. So to understand this, we need to understand what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, مَن يُطِعِ الرَّسُولَ فَقَدْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهِ. If you follow Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you have followed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let me give you one example. Umar radiallahu anhu relates to us that him and his neighbor Ansari used to visit the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam on alternative days. The day that it was his friend or his neighbor's turn, he came running to the house of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, knocked the door and said, bad news, bad news. What happened? Are we going to be attacked? He said, no, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has divorced his wives. Umar radiallahu anhu got up and went to his daughter's house, Hafsa radiallahu anha, and she was crying. And he said to her, did I not tell you not to bother and pester the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? She remained silent. He said, did he divorce you? She said, I don't know. Where is he? She said, he is in Mashraba, an area outskirt of Medina. He has gone there. Umar radiallahu anhu went. He met with Rabah, who was the guard of the door of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, I want to meet with Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He went inside and asked. He came back out and said there was no answer. Umar radiallahu anhu went to the masjid. The Sahaba radiallahu anhu ajma'in are crying in the masjid that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam has divorced his wife. The structure, the family structure is broken. Umar radiallahu anhu got up and went back, and he said in a loud voice, I want to meet the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he was given permission and he entered the room, he saw the condition of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And in their conversation, he started weeping. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, why are you weeping? And he said, the lives of others are so luxurious. And here you are lying down on a straw mat that the markings of the straw have ingrained itself in your back. Did you divorce your wives? He said, no, I did not. Upon hearing that, there was a sense of calm in Umar radiallahu anhu. They had a conversation, after which he left and he informed everyone the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not divorce his wife. During that period of 1 month that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam stayed away from his wife, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed 2 verses in which he said, O Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, tell your wives, in kuntunna turidna al-hayata ad-dunya wa zinataha fata'alayn. If you want the desires of this world and glitter, come, I will give it to you. But if you want Allah and His Rasul, wa dar al-akhirah, and you want the everlasting life of tomorrow, then Allah has prepared that for you. I.e., Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, give them the option. They want the world, they can take the world. But if they want you, they can stay with you. All of the wives of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, we want you, we want Allah, we want akhirah, and we will stay with you. What's the moral of this story in connection with domestic violence? That even at such a heightened state of disagreement and discord within the house of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, nowhere is it documented that he raised his hand and he beat his wife. So if the command of Allah was not reinforced in practice by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's a problem here. And thus we can conclude that فَضْرِبُوهُنَّ does not mean to beat your wife. It means to chastise them. On what? That the tea was cold. On what? That the food was spicy. On what? That the laundry wasn't ironed. No, that when they do something against Allah and His Rasul, which is blatant disregard of Islam, as a husband and a father, it's your responsibility to ensure that this family is moving on the same course, on the same destination, for the same cause. So you chastise them, you tell them, I don't like this, I don't approve of this. But nowhere will we find that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave legitimacy to beat one's wife. There is a story when a Sahabiya came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and said, my husband is beating me. He said, go back and tell him that I am the messenger of Allah and the messenger of protection. She came back and said, he's beating me more. He took off his cloth. In one narration, he ripped a piece of his upper garment and said, this is the cloth of the Prophet ﷺ, and I do not approve of this. She came back again, said, he's not stopping. He raised his hand and said, oh Allah, you take care of him. Oh Allah, you take care of him. This was not acceptable in Islam. How has it become acceptable in our world today? Our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ set the standard. The best of you are the best to their families, and I am the best to my family. So if we want a strong world, a unified world, a world wherein there is peace and happiness, it starts from the four walls of one's sakan, one's dwelling place. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, that together you will find happiness and peace with each other. Brothers and sisters in Islam, if we cannot bring that level of peace and harmony within our homes, then how can we bring that peace to the world? Islam teaches us to bring it within ourselves first. Because when it's real here, it's going to be real outside there. But if it's not real here, it's going to be fake out there. The best of the Muslim is he from whose hand and tongue the Muslims are safe. Hadith of Muslim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us the title, Huwa sammakumul muslimin. Allah named you Muslims, for you are the presenters and the bearers of goodness and betterment. Don't think that these actions, if not rectified, will fall on deaf ears. We turn to Surah Mujadala, chapter number 58, where a lady came to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ complaining about her husband. She said, O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he spent my wealth, exhausted my youth, and my womb bore abundantly for him. But when I became old, unable to bear children, he pronounced zihar on me. O Allah, I complain to you. She is coming. We didn't even know who she is. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed a surah in response to her words. قَدْ سَمِعَ اللَّهُ قَوْلَ الَّتِي تُجَادِلُكَ فِي زَوْجِهَا وَتَشْتَكِي إِلَى اللَّهِ وَاللَّهُ يَسْمَعُ تَحَاوُرَكُمَا. Allah has heard that lady who's come to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, complaining about her husband. And Allah is listening to your conversation. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be instruments of goodness at a time of unassurity, at a time where the rights of women folk are being taken away. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to uphold those rights, to reinforce those values within our homes, and allow us to flourish collectively as the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا من يهدي الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ونشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وبارك وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, المؤمنون والمؤمنات بعضهم أولياء بعض. That believing men and believing women are protectors of one another. The statistics that you yourself can Google are disastrous. Domestic violence has no space in our homes. It has no space in our community. It has no space in our religion. It has no space in our world. The question I asked in the beginning, why Islam taught us to propagate the message throughout the ages, continuously, till the final day? It's not about my God is better than your God. My book is better than your book. It's about the lifestyle that I have been given to follow, upholds those values, protects humanity, protects the creation. I'm living it. If you find any problem in your life, I think the practice that I'm practicing may serve as an answer and a solution for you. We need to propagate it through our actions, not through our words. My final point is, we need to live Islam and not mold Islam in accordance to our lifestyle. It is written in the hadith that on the Day of Judgment, a person will have to pass the bridge of Sirat. As the Quran says, وَإِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا. Everyone has to pass over Jahannam through the bridge of Sirat. And on both sides of this bridge is going to be like cranes. One is going to be amana, one is going to be rahim. One is going to be trust, and one is going to be family relations. How we treat our parents, how we treat our blood, how we treat our children, how we treat our spouse, that's something we cannot get away from. It is said that some of them will be grabbed because of those violations and not be allowed to cross the bridge of Sirat. May Allah protect the entire humanity from this. Ameen. And the other crane, the other hand that will try to grab people is trust. Whatever we have been entrusted with, whatever we have taken upon ourselves to fulfill that trust, it's imperative upon us that we do so. In light of trust, in this country that we reside in, it has been entrusted to us to share our voice when it's possible. And one of those times is during elections. We have 3 days left to vote, to register to vote. I cannot comprehend why still till this day we are debating the legitimacy and authenticity and legality of registering or voting in this country. This is a trust that you've taken upon yourself by residing in this country. Hence it is incumbent upon all Muslims, all of us who are of the age, who are legal citizens of this country, to register and then to vote. We can talk about voting at a later time, but brothers and sisters, if we do not register to vote by the 9th of this month, then we are discarding and violating a trust that we took upon ourselves. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide our hearts and minds to what is correct, towards what is right, to bring forth goodness and righteousness on this earth, and to be instrumental tools in making it happen. We send salutations and blessings upon Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who guided us through his actions, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala al-nabi, ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, sallu alayhi wa sallimu taslima, Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik ala sayyidina Muhammad, abdika wa rasulika al-nabi al-ummi, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa baraka wa sallama tasliman kathiran kathira. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين. رب اغفر وارحم وتجاوز عما تعلم إنك أنت العز الأكرم. اللهم إنا نسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في ديننا ودنيانا وآخرتنا. نسألك اللهم من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ونعوذ بك اللهم من الشر كله عاجله وآجله. اللهم اشف مرضانا وعاف مبتلانا وارحم موتانا يا رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين. آمين يا رب العالمين. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله أكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. Please ensure that our lines are straight, stand shoulder to shoulder. The edge of our heels should be on the edge of the line.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
حق لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين ألم نشرح لك صدرك ووضعنا عنك وزرك الذي أنقض ظهرك ورفعنا لك ذكرك فإن مع العسر يسرا إن مع العسر يسرا فإذا فرغت فانصب وإلى ربك فارغب الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله أستغفر الله.